Build a personal everyday carry kit. Survival is a game of adaptability, and many of the skills in this book focus on improvised tools created from available materials at the last minute. But a small amount of well-chosen gear goes a long way. Every man or woman must tailor his or her own EDC, everyday carry, kit to the environment and to personal habits. But whether you're looking to fine-tune your kit or starting from scratch, a few small lightweight items should be considered baseline necessities. See opposite. A bulletproof insert, custom fitted or ordered to fit a variety of bag sizes, can transform your bag into a quick shield against a gun-toting assailant. A small flashlight has endless uses as a navigational tool or signaling device. See page 114. A steel barrel pen works overtime as both a writing device and, when stabbed into an opponent's eye or neck, a weapon of self-defense. A roll of coins can be folded into a bandana and turned into a bone-crushing tool. The same bandana can be used as a tourniquet, while a tube of superglue can be used to create improvised sutures. Page 246. A pair of Kevlar shoelaces, worn or cut, can be used to saw through metal, and medical shears will cut through clothing or metal wire. In combination with the weaponry a civilian might regularly carry, a small can of mace provides a non-lethal means of self-defense. A GPS device provides navigational backup in the event that cell phone service is interrupted during a natural or urban disaster, and a printed map adds an extra layer of insurance should both devices fail or be stolen. Reattach purse or bag straps with carabiners if you can. A removable strap can be of great use during a crisis, see page 200, as can a length of tubular nylon, see page 96. Number 002. Build a personal everyday carry kit. Con-op. Gather everyday carry items that promote safety and survival. Bulletproof insert, carabiners 2, medical shears, map, an Altoids tin with Band-Aids, superglue, Kevlar laces, and a lighter, a zebra pen, an Nalgene bottle, mace, 10 feet of 1-inch tubular nylon, a small flashlight, a keyring with an LED light, glass break, whistle, and key, energy bars, a GPS, a roll of coins, and a bandana. Bottom line up front, complacency is only identified after consequences are served. Train to survive. If you don't have the physical conditioning necessary to get yourself out of trouble, the skills in this book won't do you much good. Whether you're exiting a burning building or knocking a dangerous assailant unconscious, the ordeal will consist of surmounting the initial crisis and then running or crawling your way to safe ground some distance away. At minimum, you want to be able to push, pull, and lift your own body weight. Ideally, you'll have the strength to lift your own body weight while also carrying a loved one to safety. Full body strength and cardiovascular endurance are two prongs of a solid functional workout that will give you the initial fortitude to pull yourself out of a crisis, and then the endurance you'll need to get out of harm's way. An adaptable workout based on hauling, pushing, punching, and pulling a heavy weighted mass will have the best chance of approximating real-life survival scenarios. Work through the phases of this workout in 30-second intervals, starting with the heavy bag sprints. See opposite. Working the core and the legs, these will inevitably resemble more of a forced march than an actual sprint. Proceed to heavy bag ground pounds, which will work arm and back strength while engaging core rotational force. Ground your legs during heavy bag pulls, pulling the rope hand over hand to bring the bag toward you. Alternate sides after 10 reps or 30 seconds of heavy bag squats. Proceed to another heavy bag ground pound, this time letting the rotational power exit through your knees as you push the heavy bag across the floor. End the interval series with a quarter or half-mile full-speed sprint. Rest for 30 seconds to 1 minute, then repeat the sequence up to 5 times. Number 003. Train to survive. Con-op. Engage in functional workouts that increase performance in crisis. Course of Action 1. Heavy bag sprints. Course of Action 2. Heavy bag ground pound. Course of Action 3. Heavy bag pulls. Course of Action 4. Heavy bag squats left then right. Course of Action 5. Heavy bag ground pound with knees. Course of Action 6. Sprint. Bottom line up front. Train like your life depends on it. Prepare a vehicle go bag. A basement full of emergency supplies is an excellent starting point for disaster preparation, but the trunk of your car is an underutilized resource. Crisis is unpredictable, and a nimble response should be mobile adapted. Conceal a vehicular go-bag beneath or beside your spare tire to surmount not only a flat, but also a plunge into a sinkhole, see page 196, or an unexpected cold weather trek toward roadside assistance. Stock your go-bag with items crucial for life support and self-defense, including but not limited to carabiners, strap-down gear in a maritime environment, hang food supplies in the mountains, or make an improvised seat belt. Concealed razor blade. An undetectable weapon can be a very powerful tool. Duct tape. Splint a fractured bone, see page 250, or create an improvised magnetic compass, page 20. Dynamic rope. Haul yourself out of a sticky situation. First aid kit. Temporarily stop bleeding in the event of a collision. Flares, flare gun, air horn, whistle. The ability to signal for help may get you out of a very tight squeeze. Flashlight and lighter. A large flashlight has a multitude of uses, and a lighter ensures you'll never be without fire. Food and water. Maintain a 3-day supply to prepare for a lengthy drive out of town in the event of a large-scale urban crisis or natural disaster. Number 004. Prepare a vehicle go-bag. Con-op. Collect and store life-saving gear when away from home. Carabiners, multi-tool, 1-inch tubular nylon, first aid kit, set of clothes and warmers, flare and flare gun, bandana, pistol, ammo, duct tape, hammock, flashlight, fixed blade knife, lighter, chem lights, concealed razor blade in a 3-day pack. Whistle, air horn, collapsible bowl, spork, sleeping gear, H2O bladder, steel pen, MREs, Nalgene bottles, dynamic rope, GPS. Bottom line up front, never leave home without your go bag. Handheld GPS device. Supplement your cell phone and or built-in GPS system in case both systems fail. Multi-tool. Cut through wire, loosen screws, or saw down metal with a single tool. Pistol ammo, fixed blade knife. Arm yourself in case things go sideways. Sleeping bag, hammock, poncho liner. Increase your comfort and endurance in survival conditions. Warm layers. Cars can break down anywhere, and running your heater overnight is a great way to wear out your battery. Navigation. Environmental navigation. In a survival scenario, an over-reliance on your GPS system can be a liability. Devices can be lost or destroyed. Under a triple canopy or in inclement weather, they may not be able to contact the 3 or more satellites needed for positioning. And most important, in the absence of street names, being able to pinpoint your position won't help you if you don't have a context for the environment's topographical landmarks. To mitigate against these possibilities, carry a compass, extra batteries, and a map as a backup, and perform a generalized map study prior to setting out into the wilderness. Your goal should be to familiarize yourself with the terrain within 15 to 20 mile radius of your destination. If you have the misfortune of getting lost, having memorized the direction of landmarks such as lakes, villages, mountains, and oceans will make for smarter decision-making on the fly. So will an observant eye. Whether by design or by accident, Mother Nature provides those who pay attention with a host of clues regarding their whereabouts. Because most winds are western prevailing, for example, trees and bushes tend to display thicker foliage on their eastern sides. A prevalence of branches as opposed to leaves marks the southern side of the tree, which gets the most sunlight due to planetary tilt. And moss growth generally favors the northern side of trees because moss favors shade. This last clue only works in the aggregate because shade may be coming from neighboring trees or plants. As with all clues, make sure you see an overall pattern before jumping to conclusions about your cardinal directions. To create a makeshift emergency compass, see page 20. Number 005, Environmental Navigation. Con-op, use plants and trees to determine direction. Course of action 1. Western prevailing wind will leave navigational clues on vegetation. Sparse leaves on the western side. Course of action 2. Trees are naturally lopsided. The side with the most branches, leaves, and overall growth is the south side of the tree. Course of action 3. Moss growth can indicate north due to its penchant for shade. Bottom line up front, the environment is full of clues if you know where to look. Solar navigation. Though the satellite tracking that has pervaded so many aspects of modern life dates back only half a century, the use of celestial objects as navigational tools has been around for thousands of years. If you performed a map study and outfitted yourself with basic working knowledge of the environment, tracking the movements of our closest star, the Sun, should help you find your way to safe ground. The simplest way to use the Sun's movements is to determine which way your shadow is being cast. Because the Sun rises in the east, a morning sun will cast your shadow to the west. Past noon, when the Sun is starting to set in the west, your shadow will point toward the east. At midday, this technique will be difficult to use, as a sun that's high overhead won't cast much of a shadow at all. But if you're wearing an analog watch, you have all the tools you need in order to determine your cardinal bearings, the direction of north, south, east, and west. Raising your wrist as if you're looking at your watch, rotate your body so that the hour hand points directly toward the Sun. The halfway point between the hour hand and 12 o'clock mark on your watch indicates the way south. If you're unsure of the time of day, create an improvised sundial and use the movement of your shadow to chart your course. To construct, place a stick in the ground, setting a rock at the end of the shadow cast by the stick. Let 15 minutes pass, then place a second rock at the end of the new shadow. Draw one line between the two rocks and another perpendicular to the first. The end of the perpendicular line furthest from the stick will point toward north. Number 006, Solar Navigation. Con-op. Use the Sun to determine direction. Course of Action 1. Use the Sun's easterly rise and westerly set to determine cardinal bearings, north, south, east, and west. Course of Action 2. Point the hour hand of your watch at the Sun. South is halfway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock in the northern hemisphere. Course of Action 3. Place a stick in the ground and mark the shadow's tip. Wait 15 minutes and mark the second shadow's tip. A line from the first shadow point to the second runs east to west, a line perpendicular to that points north and south. Bottom line up front, avoid getting lost on a cloudy day. Celestial navigation. Guided by the ancient practice of celestial navigation, the stargazing technique that ferried countless sailors, pirates, and explorers to distant shores and plundered treasure, any traveler should be able to determine cardinal directions, even in pitch-black darkness. Which is good news for civilians crossing a blistering desert, see page 52, or fleeing disaster when traveling after sundown may be unavoidable. The apparent position of the stars in the nighttime sky and the selection of stars that will be visible to you will depend on your latitude and longitude, the season, the cloud cover, and the time of night. In the northern hemisphere, the North Star is an effective gauge of northerly direction. Because the star sits so near the Earth's north pole, its position in the sky is almost unchanging. The Earth's rotation causes other stars to appear to move across the sky, but the North Star remains pinned at the globe's upper pole as the planet spins like a top. The North Star isn't the brightest in the sky, so search for it by identifying nearby constellations, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and Cassiopeia. The star lies in a direct line with the two outer stars of the Big Dipper's bowl. See opposite. Using the distance between those two stars as a measuring stick, it's roughly 5 lengths away, and with the central star or topmost point formed in the W in Cassiopeia. The North Star is also the last star in the Little Dipper's handle. There is no consistently visible star at the southern pole, but in the southern hemisphere you can determine direction by locating the Southern Cross. Trace an imaginary line from the constellation's brightest star to the star directly opposite, through the longest axis of the constellation's cross. Using the axis as a measure, the southern pole lies 4.5 lengths away in the direction of its brightest star. At the equator, locate Orion's belt. The 3 horizontal stars that comprise Orion's belt lie along the east-west line. Orion's torso points toward the north, his legs toward the south. Number 007, Celestial Navigation. Con-op. Use the stars to determine direction. Course of action. Number 1. In the northern hemisphere, find and use Polaris, the North Star. It's between the Big Dipper's outermost star and the Dipper, the center star in Cassiopeia's W, and it's the last star in the handle of the Little Dipper. Course of Action 2. In the Southern Hemisphere, find and use the Southern Cross. From the Southern Cross's lowest point, it's 4.5 lengths away to a star to an imaginary point in the south. Course of Action 3. At the equator, find and use Orion's Belt. Orion's Belt runs east to west, his torso points north, and his legs point south. Bottom line up front, do not lose your compass, map, or GPS. Magnetic navigation. More than an entertaining science experiment, a do-it-yourself compass is a useful navigation aid, and like all great improvised tools, it's made from materials that can be leveraged from a variety of available sources. Electric wiring can be found in radio speakers, flashlights, the harness of a vehicle. Batteries are tucked inside an endless array of devices, and everyone should have a roll of duct tape in the back of his or her trunk. All you really need is a bit of serendipity or forethought in procuring a needle or a slender length of steel. Using a few simple steps, a steel needle or piece of wire fencing can be magnetized and employed to similar effect as store-bought compasses, which rely on magnetized needles that align themselves with the Earth's magnetic field or magnetosphere. An electric charge will cause ions in the needle to congregate at one end, and when floated weightlessly, the needle will automatically point north-south. One difference between the two versions is that store-bought compasses are properly magnetized, so that one of the needles aligns south, the other north. Ideally, you want to magnetize only one end of your needle, but this can be difficult to manage when working with such a small and thin gauge. So use your needle as a source of more general information to find the axis representing north-south. In order to determine which end is which, you'll need to confirm via another form of natural navigation. See pages 14, 16, and 18. Note, the northern direction on the compass is actually the Earth's northern magnetic pole, which lies about 1,000 miles south of true north, the Earth's geographical North Pole. Improvised compasses should be combined with maps when possible, as they only provide a general sense of direction. Number 008. Magnetic navigation. Con-op. Make a compass to determine direction. Course of Action 1. Magnetize a sewing needle with a 9-volt battery and a piece of insulated wire. Strip wire at both ends. Course of Action 2. Wrap center of wire around sewing needle. Course of Action 3. Holding insulated part of wire, contact exposed ends to battery terminals for a few seconds. Course of Action 4. Place needle on a leaf and float in puddle of water to find the north-south axis. Course of Action 5. Or float needle atop a cork in an improvised tray made of duct tape. Bottom line up front. Metal must be magnetized in order to be used as a compass. Survival in the wild. Minimum everyday carry, jungle environment. Dark, loud, and buzzing with dangerous life forms, a jungle can quickly become one of the most frustrating environments on Earth, its terrain presenting even experienced navigators with uniquely challenging obstacles to transit and survival. Progress at ground level is often undertaken in near darkness, each step impeded by thorny, sticky, and sometimes poisonous plant life with a supernatural ability to grab onto skin or clothing. Terrain will be overshadowed by the lush canopy of trees and vines that makes jungles and rainforests appear so green and idyllic, and also blocks a large portion of visible light from the dark and damp forest floor. The environment is hot and humid, yet demands full coverage for protection against insects and plant life. Discomfort is a given. If you find yourself lost in a jungle, know that the density of your surroundings and the relentless oppressiveness of the climate are likely to increase feelings of panic and hopelessness. Keep moving. Momentum is important in a survival scenario. How to clear a path through the jungle. Many factors can make efficient transit through a jungle a losing battle, but following streams or game trails may diminish the need for trail clearing. Regardless of your path, a proper knife is essential for cutting your way through the jungle's thick matrix of brush, vines, and limbs, an ever-present reality that makes even a single step a challenge. The optimal tool is the kukri, an indigenous long-bladed knife whose curved blade shortens the overall length of the tool without compromising blade length, thus making it easier to carry. To clear a path, swing the knife in diagonal motions using an overhand hold. For ease of access, the knife should be worn in a leather or kydex waist sheath. You'll find many uses for a sturdy knife in the jungle, from procuring and preparing food to building shelter to self-defense, so you'll want it close at hand. A sharpening stone is also a must. Number 009, minimum everyday carry jungle environment. CONOP, everyday carry requirements for rainforest operations. Lightweight adventure racing pack. Non-Gore-Tex lightweight boots or shoes. Gaiters. Nylon hammock. Mosquito net. Lightweight compressible rain jacket. Lightweight leather gloves. Pantyhose. Chewing tobacco. Adult shin guards. Child shin guards. Water bottle and a kukri, a long blade knife. Bottom line up front. Rainforests will cut, sting, jab, puncture, and bite visitors without mercy. Though a jungle is the opposite of a desert in being so densely packed with vegetation and natural features, there are similarities when it comes to navigation. In both environments, a lack of topographical differentiation can make it easy to lose your way. Additionally, in a jungle, GPS devices are likely to fail due to the thickness of the canopy, and unlike in desert sand, footprints may not be noticeable, increasing the likelihood of circling back on yourself. Travel with a map and compass and use a Sharpie or colored tape, see page 224, to mark your path as you go. This will have the added benefit of creating a trail for potential rescuers. Protecting yourself from the environment. The jungle's plant life can inflict a surprising amount of damage upon unprotected flesh. Shin guards in adult and child sizes worn on the forearms and lower legs can help protect your limbs from sharp, thorny obstacles and from over-emphatic swings of the blade as you clear your path. Forearms, shins, hands, and feet are the primary points of contact with any sharp brush and thorns you encounter, which makes a pair of lightweight leather gloves essential as well. Any exposed skin is also vulnerable to the jungle's most persistent class of predators, with potential foes ranging from dengue or Zika carrying mosquitoes to army ants and poisonous centipedes. Jungles are rife with critters whose bites could result in a life-threatening fever. Even a single bite from an army ant could render your hand inoperable for a day, so proper coverage is essential. From a breathable long-sleeve shirt and pants to gaiters that seal off the lower extremities and prevent leeches and spiders from crawling up pant legs. Overlap clothing and gear to create protective seals. For additional security, layer on pantyhose under clothing. Leeches cannot penetrate its tight weave or obtain traction on its slippery surface, though they have a surprising knack for fighting their way through layers of clothing. A full pair may be worn on the lower body with a secondary pair cut off at the feet and waist to provide additional protection to arms. To deal the predatory worms a final death blow, add water to a pouch or tin of chewing tobacco and let it soak for a few minutes. Then rub the solution over extremities and onto pantyhose and clothing. No matter how carefully covered you are, leeches will find their way inside your clothing, and nicotine paralyzes and kills them faster than man-made repellents. A panel of mosquito netting is a baseline essential. Wear a small patch over your face while you're working your way through the jungle and drape the rest over your sleeping quarters, see page 34, at night. Failing to protect yourself is not an option. Multiple changes of socks and a breathable shoe help keep the feet warm and dry, an issue that pertains not only to comfort but also to survival. Your choice of footwear can make or break you in the jungle. To avoid trench foot or jungle rot, the result of the environment's inescapable humidity and the high probability of wading through water, steer clear of shoes made of Gore-Tex or other non-breathable materials. These will trap in moisture, which can begin to degrade your skin in less than a day. Left untreated, trench foot can result in gangrene and the very real possibility of amputation. Remove socks at night and any time you stop to rest to let your feet dry. Hang wet socks on the outside of your pack to dry during transit. Collect water in a rainforest. Perhaps the wettest non-aqueous environment on Earth, the rainforest offers plenty of clean, drinkable water to visitors who know where to look, as well as many opportunities for taking in dangerous parasites and bacteria from contaminated sources. If you find a river or stream and happen to be carrying water filtration tablets or the equipment necessary to boil the water clean, you're in luck. If not, mitigate against the risk of contamination by digging into the ground a few feet from shoreline where you find that water that's been filtered through the soils, rocks, and sediment. Even when you're far from rivers and streams, the humid ecosystem offers many options for hydration. Frequent rain is one such source, and a container is all you need in order to collect it. No water bottle? Cut a segment of bamboo just above or below a joint. The hollow plant is solid at the joints, creating a closed-off cylinder that can be stood upright on a level surface. The plant can also provide a direct source of clean water, filtered by its passage through the soil and the plant's cell walls. To access, cut a hole just below a joint of live green bamboo, then use a smaller bamboo shoot as a straw to drink the water that courses through the stalk. The rainforest's abundant vines can be tapped similarly in the name of survival. The key to success is to cut 2 notches in a vine, the first high, the second, the bitter end, low to the ground. The higher notch allows air to flow in, pushing water down to the collection point below. A more labor-intensive but plentiful source can be found in plantain and banana palms, whose root systems are shaped like giant bowls, full of clean drinking water coming right up from the palm's roots. Cutting the trunk requires muscle power and a sharp blade, but the effort will be worthwhile. Number 010. Collect water in a rainforest. Con-op. Finding filtered drinkable water in the rainforest. Course of action 1. Cut a hole just below a bamboo joint. Insert smaller diameter bamboo straw and drink. Each section contains drinkable water. Course of action 2. Cut notch at highest point on a vine. Cut bitter end and water will flow. Course of action 3. To drink directly from banana or plantain trees, cut tree down at base and scoop out stump until bowl fills with water. Bottom line up front. Drinkable water is easy to find in the jungle for those who know where to look.